Well, again, Indiana Pacers money line. What can I say, guys? What can I say? They did it again. They did it again, and everything that I've been saying for months is actually coming through. That's not, I don't mean that like in a shocking way. I just mean like it's everything I thought was going to happen with that series. And I know, Timberwolves laid an egg yesterday. They did. That was a historically bad shooting night out of Minnesota. They only want to show up and play when they play the Lakers. Anyways, though, it's whatever. I still think the Timberwolves honestly win that series in 5 games. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a fake game 1. The Timberwolves couldn't hit a shot, and if Steph's not 100%, he's likely not playing game 2, probably not game 3. I still think the Warriors are screwed. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? This Buddy Hield nonsense is going to end eventually. But let's focus on the more important matters at hand. The Indiana Pacers are now up 2-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, I hate to say it, but I told you so. I'm just going to say this right now. The Pacers are underdogs right now for Game 3 plus 110. That game's not till Friday. Bet on that game right now. Bet on the Pacers. I will give a full in-depth breakdown of that game on Friday. I'm telling you right now, they're not losing at home in Indiana up 2-0. I don't care who's on the court for the Cavaliers. I don't care Garland's probably going to be back. I don't care maybe Mobley and Hunter are back. No, the Pacers are winning that Game 3 at home, okay? Game 4, maybe we can talk, but then I think, okay, Cleveland's probably just going to be done in Game 4 after they're down 3-0. I said it yesterday. I think the Pacers, and I said this again before that game, I was like, looking at the injuries for Cleveland, I thought Game 2 was going to be one of the games that they get, but now that I'm seeing this, I think the Pacers just straight up sweep, because again, my thing for the longest time was Pacers in 6, right? Pacers in likely 6, because I thought, right, Cleveland will get games 2 and 5 at home. They don't get game 2, and now I don't think they're going to see a game 5. So now I'm just going Pacers in 4 straight up. Anyways, again, we'll get to that game on Friday. I just needed to bask in some glory here for the Indiana Pacers. They keep on paying for us. Today, or earlier today, folks, here on the channel, we posted our MLB best bets. Make sure to go check that out. That is linked in the description down below. And on Greedo Plays MMA, 3 videos this week. PFL Mania predictions. PFL Europe predictions are later today. And our UFC 315 from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Bilal, remember the name. Muhammad takes on it. Jack Della Maddalena in the main event. Go check out all of those videos in the description down below and go subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA as well. Okay. On to the first of our 2 games today. We're going to kick things off in the Boston Garden between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. So game 1, we can talk in depth about that game number 1 played between Boston and New York, a victory for the New York Knicks. Now, I'm not going to immediately make that comp to Timberwolves Warriors. I think you can kind of, to the point of how poorly Boston shot. They broke a record for most missed 3-pointers in a playoff game with 35 of them. They went 15 for 60 from the 3-point line. My thing with Boston is, and this is the slight comparison I'm going to make to the Minnesota game, okay? Hear me out here. Boston shot that poorly from 3, and yet if they didn't choke away a lead in the 4th quarter, they would have won that game, right? Even when they did lose the game, they only lost it by 3 points. Minnesota shot historically bad. I know they didn't take as many 3-pointers as Boston did in game 1, but Minnesota was that horrible, and yet, okay, they were within a 10-point striking range, obviously, with about 5 minutes to go, right? I think the more impressive feat, honestly, is Boston, because, okay, you shot that poorly, and you probably should have won the game in regulation, Right, you choked a lead with 5 minutes to go. Jalen Brunson, the guy's great. What can I say, right? Jalen Brunson, 5 for 9 from the 3-point line in game number 1 at 29 points. When it matters, similar to Tyrese Halliburton, when it matters, yeah, Jalen Brunson's going to show up, right? Jalen Brunson will show up in the big moments, and he's going to hit big-time shots, right? Karl-Anthony Towns, it's odd. Cat wasn't taking many threes towards the end of that Pistons series, and in game 1, he took 1 3-pointer against the Celtics. He scored 14 points, and Cat kind of just took a step back. And I know, again, there was the injury to Kristaps Porzingis. He did not play past, the 2nd quarter, so we're forced into big Al Horford minutes, obviously, because Horford played 34 in game number 1. But regardless, right, Cat kind of has eliminated that 3-point shot, at least for right now, obviously taking a lot more mid-range stuff or inside shots. Cat goes 6 for 13 from the field, but obviously, right, that 0 for 1 line, I guess, does stand out a little bit from the 3-point line. But in all fairness to Cat, You don't need to take as many shots. You don't need to score as much when Jalen Brunson is having the type of night that he had in game one. And on top of that, the type of night OG Adenubi played as well. I don't think Suni Lee was in the front row, but regardless, Adenubi goes 10 for 20 from the field and 6 for 11 from the 3-point line. He matches Jalen Brunson's point total from game number one. Both of those guys scored 29 points. And, I know he doesn't have the most impressive stat sheet, but Mikal Bridges, 8.6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. The more important and the more impressive feat is 51 minutes in game number one from Mikal Bridges, the ultimate Iron Man. Again, they'll always make a big deal out of this. Mikal Bridges has not missed a game of basketball since his junior year of high school, or maybe before his junior year of high school. Regardless, though, right, the Knicks win game number one. My only problem with this is, and I do think Boston is in a little bit of trouble, but I'm ultimately not that concerned. I remember I came on here yesterday saying, oh yeah, I think Boston's in trouble. After rewatching game one, if Boston again just hits, I'm serious, if they hit 5 more threes in regulation, they win that game. I know it's a lot to ask for, right? And that's asking, okay, they go from shooting 25% to, 33%. But still, that's literally 33%. Still, though, right, a team that has the capability that Boston has, and just look at some of the lines these guys shot. Jason Tatum goes 4 for 15 from the 3-point line. He turned the ball over 5 times, made some costly mistakes late in the game, right? But, Tatum's not going to continue to play that poorly. Drew Holiday, 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. That's whatever. The bigger one is Jaylen Brown. That's the one that just stands out, right? Jaylen Brown, 1 for 10 from the 3-point line, 7 for 20 from the field, right? That's the one, right? Yes, Tatum didn't have his best night, but if Jaylen Brown can sink 2 or 3 more of those threes, Boston probably wins. It's a momentum thing. It gets Jaylen Brown going, and Porzingis is playing, by the way, today. He is probable for game number 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals with an illness. So that's a big get. I think Al Horford's been very important for the Boston Celtics, not just this season, but obviously in the years past as well. Held their championship team and really just been, a huge vet for this Boston squad. But I think Kristaps Porzingis is obviously the better basketball player, and there's no question about that. But also, again, Porzingis just does a lot more for this team, and I don't think it benefits the Celtics at all to play Al Horford, who's kind of a dinosaur at this point, 34 minutes in a big game one of the Eastern Conference semifinals, right? So, ultimately, going back to my prediction for this game, I think the Celtics are going to win, but I think the Knicks do keep it close, right? I think the Knicks are playing with great momentum right now, and I have to say it, every road team has won so far in the playoffs this year. That will get broken eventually. I have to assume it's going to get broken tonight with, either the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference in the Celtics or later on with the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. And boy, do I have a lot to say about that ending to that game. I know I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I got to talk about it more. I think the Celtics ultimately win the game, but I think the Knicks keep it close. I think Adenubi has another big night. I think, Jalen Brunson, we have to put him on this level of guys of, he single-handedly can keep his team in the game, at least in the clutch moments. There's a reason he's going to win, or he already won the Clutch Player of the Year award this season, is because he does step up in these spots, right? He does hit those big three-pointers like we saw in the Detroit series. We have already seen now against Boston as well. I am a little bit concerned with New York, though, and this is why I don't think they're going to win. I think they're going to keep it close because I think they're too talented, right? The 5 starters on this court for New York, plus Mitchell Robinson off the bench, and I guess Miles McBride the minutes he gets. But Mikal, Adenubi, Cat, and Brunson and Hart, they're too talented to not remain in basketball games. As we saw in every Detroit game, and we saw in the fourth quarter, game 1 against the Celtics, the Knicks make their push in the fourth quarter. They play better in the clutch moments, and they don't let you breathe. No lead feels safe against New York because they're always going to come scratching and clawing their way back. But my concern that I was going to mention earlier about this team is, sure, they're talented, they're great. I think they're going to keep this game close, and I think a 10.5 point spread is a little disrespectful towards this team, considering what they did in game number 1. My problem with the New York Knicks in this game, though, is just fatigue. You just played 2 days ago. You had one of your starters in Mikal Bridges who prides himself on being a workhorse, being an Iron Man. Well, the problem is he played 51 minutes in a basketball game less than 48 hours ago. Jalen Brunson played 44. Adenubi played 46. Josh Hart played 45. And this is always the problem I've had with Tom Thibodeau's Knicks this season. And I said it in the regular season as well. When these guys are playing 40 minutes, on a nightly basis, it feels like, what happens to them in the playoffs? So far, it hasn't concerned them at all. But now, just the way the schedule's laid out, you get 1 day off in between. You don't get multiple days back to back of rest now. You are, it's a straight sprint now, essentially, to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's gonna come back to hurt them. I think so. And trust me, I don't want to say that. I don't want to watch the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, guys. I'd love to watch Pacers Knicks Part 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals with the winner going to the NBA Finals. I mean, that's great. That would be awesome, right? That New York crowd. I think Halliburton is starting to get on that level. I think in New York, at least this series, he definitely would. He would get on that Trae Young level of hatred. Now, nothing will ever compare to Trae, obviously, but because New York will forever hate Trae Young. But I think Tyrese, the way he's playing and the way that I think he could play in a Knicks series, and especially because he eliminated them last season, I think he could warrant, some of that crowd response, which would only make that Knicks-Pacers series in the Eastern Conference Finals that much better. However, I just don't think they're able to last because of the minutes played, and I just think Boston, again, I don't think they continue to play that poorly. And I'll be honest, this is the same case I'm going to make tomorrow about the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? That's a whole other story, though, because that's like if Jalen Brunson wasn't playing for the Knicks, right? No Steph Curry, obviously, tomorrow for the Warriors. I'm pretty confident about that. I think Boston's going to have a much better shooting night. Again, Kristaps Porzingis will likely play the entire game. He will start. He will be back in the rotation. He's not going to be out for the second half this time. Expect Tatum to shoot better. He almost has to. Expect Jaylen Brown to shoot better. Derek White can't ask for a lot more. I mean, 19 points, 11 rebounds. It is what it is. 5 for 16 from the field. Obviously, you would like him to hit it at a better clip, but he's not the biggest problem with the starting lineup right now, at least with the three-point ball, right? Tatum 4 for 15, Holiday 2 for 7, Jaylen Brown 1 for 10. If those guys, again, can just increase that percentage just a little bit higher, the Celtics should win this game because of the way that how much they shoot the three ball, right? That's the Joe Mazzulla style of basketball. That's the new age of NBA basketball. You shoot that rock, and you shoot it as many times as possible. And for Boston, there are going to be games like Game 1. We've always said it. Like, they will have games where they go ice cold and they just can't get anything going. But when they are on, my goodness, are they difficult to stop. And I'm taking the Boston Celtics to win Game 1. But I think the Knicks, honestly, are too good to get blown out here. I think the Knicks keep it within the single digits. I'm going plus 10.5 for New York. But ultimately, the Celtics knot this series up at 1 game apiece. Let's go on to our second and final game of the day. We move to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma for the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. Same exact spread of 10.5, and I'm playing it here for the Thunder. Well, I mean, we predict every game, so. If I had to choose between both these games, I'm probably taking Knicks spread over this, in all fairness. But yeah, I think the Thunder probably blow out Denver tonight. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I'd stay away. I'd completely stay away. I want to see more games in this series, personally. This is the one series right now where I'm like, I don't feel confident laying anything. I just don't. Like tomorrow, Minnesota, 10.5 point favorites against the Warriors. I'd be more inclined to probably bet Minnesota tomorrow. Just because, again, if Steph doesn't play, and obviously we're going to get to all that and more tomorrow, so make sure to join us for that. Again, we will have an injury update, obviously, this time tomorrow on the channel for Steph Curry. So here's the thing with OKC, right? That game 1 was disastrous. There's no other way to put it. You have that game in the bag. I don't know why you go to the foul game so early, and I don't know. And the biggest question, I have no problem with the foul game. I get it's annoying. It is what it is. My problem with what they did in game 1 was when they sent Aaron Gordon to the free throw line. 1, the Nuggets don't have a timeout. They can't get Jokic back in the game until a dead ball. 2, you foul Aaron Gordon right away. You don't even let him dribble the ball up court. You immediately see Aaron Gordon take the ball, get the ball in his hands. You immediately swarm him. Could have at least ran off a couple more seconds. Would that have mattered eventually in the end when Aaron Gordon hit his big 3 eventually? I don't know. But it's just, that's not good coaching. It's a lack of awareness on the court. But the biggest issue is, yes, you get Nikola Jokic back on the basketball court. Regardless, Aaron Gordon sinks his 2 free throws. And then the Thunder get their inbound. They try to get the ball to Shea. They have to call timeout. They have to rethink it, obviously, because they couldn't get the inbound in. And instead, on the second try, they can't get the ball to SGA. Personally, I don't care how covered he is. You find a way to get him the ball. You force him the basketball. You set a screen on the inbound. I don't care. Because the thing is, that guy's automatic from the charity stripe. Say what you want, make as many jokes as you want about, oh, free throw merchant or whatnot. Shea's gonna hit those 2 free throws, and we saw that earlier in the free throw game played in game number 1. Anyways, they force it to Chet Holmgren, and Holmgren misses back-to-back free throws, doesn't even get them 1. And Aaron Gordon comes down the court, hits a pull-up 3 with 2.8 seconds left to go, and the Denver Nuggets escape out of Oklahoma City with the Game 1 victory. Good on them. Really good on them. I mean, that's been, I think, the concern that people have had with OKC in this playoffs. I've always kind of just sold them as, all right, they're the number 1 team in the league. I fully expect them to win the NBA championship this year, now that the Lakers are out, by the way. But still, I've always been, for the longest time this year, okay, Shea's the best player in the world, which he is, 100%. That loss is not on him, 33 points. He had a great night. And yes, you can look at Jokic's line. Oh, he had 42, 22, and 17, 22 and 6. Is that absolutely ridiculous? 100%. If he wins the series, maybe I'll say he's the most valuable player in the league. He's not going to win the series. But anyways, right, that's really impressive. I will give him his flowers on that. Regardless, right, this loss is not on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but what the problem that people have had with OKC going to this playoffs are, they're 68-14, right? They're a good team. They're 2 games off 70 wins, but the inexperience. You get a team that was in the playoffs last year. They were in the same exact spot. I believe Dallas was the 5 seed last year, but regardless, you're the number 1 seed. You lose in the second round to Luka and Kyrie. Well, now you get another shot at it this year. You had need an even better regular season. Your star player is now the most valuable player rather than just a runner-up. He leads the NBA in scoring, and yet you lose game 1 to Denver because you are inexperienced. You make these stupid errors at the end of the game. Regardless, I don't think that's a player's fault. I think Chet obviously needs to hit those free throws. I think that's a scheme thing and a coaching thing of how they lost this game. But regardless, you have a fairly young team, and they find a way to lose game 1. One would argue, and I think it's a very fair argument to make, a veteran team likely doesn't lose that game 1 against Denver. They likely play that off a lot more cautiously at the end of the game, and possibly you just let Denver take the 3. Because what OKC did, and that's the whole debate around playing the foul game so early, if OKC doesn't foul and they just let him take a shot, okay, maybe Jokic hits one, maybe Aaron Gordon hits one, but at least you're still going to overtime at the worst, and now you get the ball in Denver territory trying to score with, 5 seconds left on the clock, and basically it's either Shai hits a shot to win the game, or you're going to OT. Instead, they took the ball out of their best player's hands, they let Chet take the free throws, and Denver ultimately won it with the Aaron Gordon 3-pointer. Okay, who wins this game? I do think it's the Thunder, okay? I think Denver, I'm not going to say they're content on winning 1 game, but that's a lot more than I think they thought they were going to get. Let's just be honest. I think Denver thought they were probably losing these first 2 in OKC. Who knows? But it's just they came off a Game 7 2 days ago. They were relatively fatigued. I understand that Clippers game was a blowout, but still, you played that grueling series against the Clips, and now you got to go take on a Thunder team that have been off for, a week. They find a way to win. I think OKC should bounce back in a big way today. Expect Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to score 40 points. I think he's going to make it his mission tonight. And Shai, I wouldn't call him a playoff riser because he really hasn't shown that yet. I think this is the game, though, where we start to have that conversation about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being a playoff riser and being a guy who does step up in the big moments. Like, again, I don't want to keep bringing up Tyrese Halliburton, but literally like Tyrese Halliburton, right? So I'd expect Shai to have a big night. I would expect the supporting cast to be a whole lot better too. I think the Thunder are going to be playing with more, with more urgency on defense. I think they're going to be playing with more pressure. And honestly, that first half against Denver was probably as good as a half as you would want. I think, again, the Thunder really struggled to pull away from Denver because they'd always get to that 10-point lead and they'd always have that cushion, but they would never really make that run to go up 20 points. And again, to really separate themselves from the 2023 champions. Regardless, though, in that second half, right, Denver would make their pushes and they made their big push in the fourth quarter. Until the Aaron Gordon 3-pointer, until Chet missed those 2 free throws, I would really never thought the Thunder were in all that much danger. Again, yeah, Jokic hit that 3 to cut the game to 1. Shai gets fouled. They go back up by 3. I'm like, all right, it would take a miracle for Denver to win this game because they're not going to, and joking aside, they're not going to out free throw Shai. Nobody can. The only way you can do that is by taking Shea out the play on the inbound, and that's what Denver did. They got the ball to Chet. The rest is history. I think the Thunder win today. Again, it's a classic bounce back spot. I think the Nuggets are somewhat content on going back to Denver 1-1 because they have stolen now home court advantage. And we'll see what we get in games 3 and 4 on, I believe, Friday and Sunday. But I'm taking the Thunder today. Expect Shea to be a lot better. We need J-Dub to be way better as well. Jalen Williams, man, 5 for 20 from the field in game number 1 at 2 for 9 from the three-point line, only 16 points. We need him to simply put just be better. Alex Caruso had one hell of a game. Got to give him a shout out. 5 for 9 from the three-point line, 20 points. Denver, it is what it is. It's the Jokic show. It's Jokic and friends. Aaron Gordon's three ball is a game changer, just is, right? Something that the Nuggets haven't always had, and Aaron Gordon really being that viable threat from the three-point line, at least at the rate that he's shooting it at this season. My goodness, it does make this team a lot more difficult to deal with. But I do think the Thunder, who have a true home court advantage, at least in Oklahoma City, should be fine in this spot. I'd expect Shea to be much better. Expect J-Dub as well. And I think the Thunder will win this basketball game, and I think they're going to cover the 10.5 points as well. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA predictions and best bets here for May 7th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for one game, Timberwolves Warriors game 2. So, folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.